Yeah, thank you for joining us. So here we are in our fireside chat, about as far away from a fireside as you could possibly imagine. We should have had some flames or something on in the background, but one of the things that we're only going to keep this short. It's going to be, like I say, just kind of a good one-on-one chat. One of the themes that we've seen over the day is this idea of financial inclusion. It's about access to capital. It's about access to the financial institutions that kind of keep this running. You obviously are with MasterCard, one of the biggest global financial institutions that exist. But I guess one of the first questions really is how do you make sure that financial inclusion, that the big institutions can access it, but also the people on the ground, the people who Obi mentioned, the markets, like what did MasterCard put in place that includes people?
Thank you very much for that question. I think the very first thing is you take a look at Africa today, and you obviously will realize that we've got the right technology that is coming in. We've got the population. However, not everybody is financially included today.
Yeah.
And the first thing we have to think about significantly is access. How do we get everybody to have access to the financial sector? Whether that is via a bank account, whether that is via a wallet, the first thing is we've got to bring people into the financial sector. Now, further to that, you then realize it's not just about having access alone. What do you then do with the access?
Sure.
They have needs today, and the various conversations we've had this evening has focused a lot on a number of the needs that many of these consumers have. What we then need to do is to collaborate, to make sure that we're innovating, but innovating in a very relevant manner.
Right.
Not that we're just importing technology and throwing it out there at people, but we're looking at what are the pain points, what are the peculiar challenges in Africa that we've got today in this market or in specific sectors of the economy.
Sure.
Collaborating with local entities that have got the right market insights, that have got that level of solution, and then partnering with the global institutions like MasterCard to deliver the right solutions. The next thing we then need to think about is also the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs are the backbone of the African economy. Mm-hmm. Now, we need to make sure, because in a place like Nigeria, almost 90% of businesses are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
To really get to the last mile, we talked about the artists, we talked about the people in the creatives, but we've also mentioned in the course of this evening, we talked about open markets that have no online representation.
Yeah.
It's more or less a gray market. And so what you want to do is to make sure that you provide solutions that allow this set of people or this demography to receive payments. That's the only way you can leverage the access, you can leverage the innovations in order to make sure that we have a complete ecosystem that delivers the right solutions for everybody.
Sure. And what have been the challenges that is stopping this now? And what are MasterCard doing to kind of overcome these?
Okay, some of the challenges we're currently facing right now is, if you take a look at the African landscape, one of the things you will realize is connectivity. Right now, we've got internet penetration at about 38% across Africa at the end of 2024. Even though we're growing faster or twice the rest of the world, at less than 40%, that is still a challenge.
Yeah.
Now, we need that level of digital infrastructure to be in place. So broadband penetration, mobile connectivity, those are things that we need to put in place in order to make sure that people can have easy access to their accounts, to their wallets, and not only that, they can use it to connect to the global ecosystem. The second thing is power obviously is an issue.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this room, but if you
Well,
go out there,
you weren't here earlier.
but if you go out there, you find that someone probably from my village probably has power probably about 6 hours of the day. What does it do with the remaining 18 hours? Does it mean they're totally cut off from the rest of the world? So we've got a couple of basics that we would need to improve on, and ultimately it's about helping these people to then see the value. One of the things we've done really well in Nigeria is USSD banking. Very basic thing, but provides significant access to financial transactions for many of our people. That has scaled really well. It's probably one of the fastest growing channels within this country today. What are those other solutions we can get in order to bring more people into that ecosystem?
Sure. And what is your ideal scenario over the next 10 years, over the next 20 years and longer? Like, what are the things that need to be in place today that can ensure financial inclusion? Like, you talked about access, but on the ground, how does that happen? What are the practicalities behind it?
All right, so in very practical terms, I think the first thing is we need to work with everyone. Financial inclusion is an ecosystem play. We need to collaborate. So both from the government perspective, both from the private sector, the public sector, everyone is going to have to be involved. And so the first thing we need to do is to make sure that we provide the right level of partnerships and collaboration. This is not something that any one person can do by themselves. And so at MasterCard, what we've done is to provide a framework that allows us to be able to collaborate and partner with many of our local fintechs for small businesses for different solutions. Examples will be, today many of our merchants cannot afford to have a $200-300 terminal, right?
Yeah.
But what we've done is to, off the backdrop of the fact that practically every one of them probably has a phone.
Yeah.
So can we create a solution that leverages what they already have? And we've created a solution called Tap on Phone, where your phone basically becomes a contactless device that I can use to pay you when you provide goods or services to me. So these are the reality of what we need to do in order to make sure that everybody in the market, then comes into these financial brackets.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things about that we spoke earlier in a panel and about this idea of leapfrogging technologies. So the innovations and technologies that are happening in Africa are forced because of the situation on the ground and the realities and questions of infrastructure. But I feel sometimes as though the real innovation then feeds back to other countries and other societies. Is that your experience, that things are happening, the innovation that has to happen here changes things across the world?
Absolutely. So I'll just give you a quick example. So for example, we look at the Nigerian market and we see some of the challenges that currently exist, how it's a bit difficult for you from a distribution perspective and also from an economics perspective to get terminals into the hand of every merchant. And so we look at it, okay, but not even everybody's got a phone, right? So can we come up with something? And then, we go into the ideation process and we come up with what we call pay by link. All you need to do is just generate a QR code or send a link to someone and say, here it is, pay me. Earlier today, I still paid a travel agency who generated a code and sent it to me. It comes already with the amounts.
Yeah.
It just sends me an email. I click on it. I put in my details, and they get a notification. You've just been paid X amount of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are some of the simple things, but they cannot come to us from a global perspective because this is not a global challenge.
Yeah.
It's a local challenge. And so we need to collaborate with people that really understand the market. And that is where we probably need to continue to emphasize on this local, collaboration.
Sure.
To make sure that solutions that we create are a right fit for the particular problem that we have in our geography.
Sure, and I can almost guarantee back in the UK, I'll be sending friends QR codes in the future. And then just as a kind of a final point, like I say, it's been 65 years of independence. We're looking forward to another 65 years, whatever that means. What is it for you and for MasterCard? What are your aspirations and your aims and the dreams of MasterCard as a company, but also maybe personally as well?
All right, thanks. Great question. So for us at MasterCard, it's all about setting the right foundation in order to make sure that the next decades and the next 65 years is going to deliver the outcome we all want. And that starts from the very basic things that we talked about. How do we create a trusted environment where people feel safe to be able to transact? And that means we need to leverage existing technologies, not just to make sure that people can transact, but they can do so in a risk-free or minimal risk manner. Because if they don't feel safe, they're not going to come back. And so it's important that we make sure that we deliver that. And what we've been doing for the last 20 years or thereabout is we've been leveraging artificial intelligence and trusted data to detect fraud within milliseconds and also predict risk before they happen so that we have that safe environment. The other thing to also speak to is Africa has got a very young population. They expect fast, speedy service. And they want to be able to not just pay, but also receive payments across the world. We've developed a solution called MasterCard Move, which allows you to remit money to over 180 countries across the world and 150 currencies across the world. And it is really fast and transparent. Now, what that does is I could sit in Nigeria and I could want to pay for a movie scene somewhere in China, and we could have the agreement sent, and I could transfer the money, and they would get it in a couple of minutes, right? That then is how we start to galvanize and make sure that exchange of value comes at a very high speed. So those are some of the things we're doing, but more importantly is we set these targets for ourselves around financial inclusion.
Okay.
So far, we did set a target that is supposed to end in 2025 of bringing 50 million small businesses into the formal sector. That we have accomplished. But the good news, or the more interesting part of that, is over 75% of them are female businesses.
Right.
And so that continues to be something that we continue to thrive on. So for us at MasterCard, it's all about safe, convenient, and fast payments wherever you want it, however you want it. We want to make sure we're delivering to what we all need over the next 65 years.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyable, really insightful, and keep innovating and making things easier for everybody.
Thank you. It's going to be a collaboration amongst all of us, you know, everybody in this room and everyone outside of this room, for us to all get the outcome we want. Because once everybody's in it, prosperity is shared amongst all of us.
Brilliant. Thank you.